duck-billed platypus. Just kidding. Hey, it has taken me 8 years to record another video. I recorded a bunch of them and hated every single one of them, so I deleted it. And then we got busy and we had stuff to do, and I know you guys, busyness is not an excuse for not doing things, but it kind of is sometimes. So I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get back to you guys and to just, get back on the interwebs and ramble about my life a little bit. I've recorded at least 15 videos talking about my trip to California, which I built up and made this huge thing to you guys, and I'm so sorry that I did that and I left you hanging. But now I'm just kind of over it in a good way. And so briefly, I just wanted to talk about that, and then I'll show you some clips of my time there. I didn't really take a lot of video because I wanted to be present, and I had never done anything new. So I wanted to experience new things in an authentic way that was organic and where I could really take in what I needed to during that time. So I've never been on a plane.
Not the
ready?
exit seat requirements.
So I got this fanny pack because a friend told me to get it. So I thought everybody was going to be wearing this freaking fanny pack, and they're not, okay? So here it is, this fanny pack down here. This is what I have. We're not going to show those other things. Lotion. 2 chapsticks. For double chapsticking. Okay. Sanitizer. This Clorox wipes. My headphones. And that's it. I'm the only one wearing the fanny pack. Thank you for that friend who told me to get one. Alright.
So I've never been on a plane before. That was my very first plane ride. I have had a couple of opportunities to go on a plane, but have turned them down, or the situation wasn't right, and we just have never done anything. It's just funny when you look at your life and you're 30 and you look back and you're like, oh, I haven't really even done anything. And I know that standards are different for everybody, and no one has this checklist of things that they should be doing, but I think that the reason that I haven't done a lot of things is because, number one, I am afraid of everything, or was. I lived in fear for a lot of my life. And then number two, I didn't think that I was capable of doing new things. I don't like change naturally. A lot of people don't, but I don't. And so doing new things, stepping outside of my comfort zone and being uncomfortable is not something that I was willingly signing up to do. I know that everybody hates being uncomfortable, but I really hate being uncomfortable. And so before I started living for the Lord, I really thought that comfortability was the goal. I thought that, just feeling good within myself and within my life and being comfortable with that and just kind of like being in this cush area was the goal of life. I want to feel good. I want to be cool with it. And so that was it. And, we all know that that is unrealistic. And it also sucks. You don't want to be there because you're not growing. And then if you're not growing, you're standing still. So I got on this plane. I prepared for a month, obsessively texted all of my friends who have been on planes, talked about everything I needed to pack. I had thousands of conversations with all of my friends asking about the appropriate sizes for things to be packed, what to pack, where to put it, when to carry things like that. So if you are one of those people who got my text obsessively for the past month or so before I went on my very first plane trip, bless you, because I love you guys and you love me for my weirdness and obsessions that I have.
This fanny pack because a friend told me to get it. So I thought everybody was going to be wearing this freaking fanny pack, and they're not, okay? So here it is, this fanny pack down here. This is what I have. We're not going to show those other things. Lotion. 2 chapsticks. For double chapsticking. Okay. Sanitizer.
So get on the plane. It wasn't really that bad. I was really surprised at how easy it was for me to just do that, and also how exhilarating it was for me to do something new. Like I said, I have lived a lot of my life in fear for one reason or another, and I know that a plane ride is really minuscule in some people's lives, but it was a really big deal to me. It was kind of like a tangible piece of God's control on my life, and I really had to be pushed to rely on the Lord fully for that, and know that He was going to take care of me, He was going to take care of my family, and He was going to keep me safe, and that I could do something new with Him and be okay doing it. That was very impactful for me. When I talk about this trip, I say this very cliche thing that's like, oh my gosh, it was life-changing, but it really was life-changing for me. My perspective on living, and also living in a way that it doesn't matter what I do, I know that if I rely on the Lord that I'll be fine. That was all changed. So when I talk about that and I'm like, oh my God, it was really life-changing, it really was for me, guys. So we get to California and it's all cool, and the weather is perfect, and it's nice and cool, but it's also sunny, so it was really awesome. Here we are in beautiful San Diego. I don't have a selfie stick, so it looks stupid. Everybody else here looks like they're tourists too. Here, look, we'll see. I don't know how to turn it around either, so, you know. So pretty. Let's zoom it out there for everybody. It's a big boat. My grandparents lived on Midway Island and came in and out of San Diego, and I think my mom or my aunt was born here, so it's kind of cool to see all of this stuff. Wish my granny was with me. She's an old Navy wife. She would really appreciate it. Maybe one day we'll bring Granny. Something monumental that happened there for me, which doesn't really seem like a big deal, obviously, but we went to this church where we were learning about how they kind of structure their life groups, and this church is known for their life group model, and it has worked with them for years. So we went there to learn about it, and we had some training. We got to sit down with the pastor of the church at his home and bounce ideas off of him about what we're doing at our church, what we're doing with our groups. So that was really rad. No one ever gets to do that, so it was really cool. He's also the author of the book that we've read that goes along with what we were learning. So that was awesome. So while we're going through all of this training, and just moving through our time there, everybody there that went with me was extroverted. And if you know anything about Myers-Briggs, it's obviously not your identity, but it is a cool little tool to just kind of figure yourself out. And part of what I am trying to grow in right now is figuring out how I work best so that I can use those tools and those processes in my brain that God made to glorify Him to the best of my abilities. So the Lord made me one way. He knows how my brain works. I just got to figure out how He's made it so that I can use my brain to its fullest capacity to honor the Lord, to be creative, to work through conflict, and to function. So that's kind of my goal right now that I'm working on in this season. So we go on this trip, and everyone is extrovert except for one of my friends who kind of like is ambivert. She kind of switches back and forth. And they're so much fun. Extroverts are so much fun. Even though I enjoyed all of it, I was getting a little discouraged because I first tested as an INTJ and then am now testing as an INSTJ. So I'm actually going to go see a practitioner about it in a couple of weeks, and I'm really excited about that, but for another time. So I'm this like weird thinker lady, basically. And I was getting a little discouraged because I was just praying and I was thinking to the Lord, like, what do you have for me? What do you want for me to be doing? And am I ever going to be able to think these grand ideas and these big thoughts and have these big visions? And it was kind of a box that I was putting myself in that I shouldn't have been, but it got me in this place where I was just down on myself and struggling with it, and just found myself in this place where everyone around me is different than I am, and they're thinking all of these big ideas, they're doing all of these great things, and I'm wondering if I'm ever going to be able to do those things with the type of brain that I have. I know that sounds very silly, but it was just something that was occurring while I was there. I'm also wondering at some point how I even got there, because I honestly, honest to God, it felt like I had put my name in a hat and someone got the paperwork wrong, and I just ended up on that trip on a plane. My leaders knew why I was there, and God knew why I was there, and so I just needed to be obedient in what I should have been doing and what I was called to have been doing. But it got me in my head because I'm like, I'm not even supposed to be here. Like, I am not as cool as these people. I do not think all of these cool ideas, and I don't even know what I have to offer, Lord. And so we attended church on Sunday at their church, and the message was about Mark, the book of Mark in the Bible. And the point of the pastor's sermon was that even though Peter denied Jesus 3 times, and you know, Peter, he was his ride or die loyalist for Jesus. He cut off that guy's ear and he was like, I'll do anything for you, Lord. And Jesus said, hey man, you're going to deny me. And he was like, nah, I would never turn on you. And I identify with Peter so much because I'm an Enneagram type 6 and I'm a very loyal person, and I am a true ride or die. To be Peter and to know that you told someone that you would never betray them and then you denied them. I think every one of us have been in that situation, and the amount of shame and guilt that comes upon you when you are that person, it's almost insurmountable. It's very difficult to carry. And I was feeling that. I could feel that feeling that Peter must have felt when Jesus came back and they said, hey man, Jesus is back. And I can only imagine thinking to myself, if I was Peter, man, he is not even going to want to see me. He is not even going to want to be around me. And the point of the sermon was that when Jesus came back, the angel told the women, hey, go tell everybody that Jesus is back, and Peter. Like, he called him by name. He knew that if they didn't specifically seek him out and tell him that Jesus was back, that he wouldn't come, because he was so buried in his guilt and his shame and what he had done. And I felt that. And I felt the Lord press on me during that moment. I called you by name. I called you by name because I knew you weren't going to come on your own. So I didn't know why I was there on this trip, but I know that I was specifically asked, and I know that the Lord and my leaders had a plan for that. The cooler thing was going to this other part of the training where the pastors of the life group leaders, they host this training, and they're talking about, you know, the importance of relationships and how they work their groups and how they work their discussion questions and stuff like that. Anyways, the setup of it, details are super cool to me. I like them. I like organization within a structure. I like planning things out. I like I just like structure of it. And so to see all of that moving on a bigger scale was encouraging for me. And then at the end of the session, they were like, okay, well, do you have any other questions? And I just knew, you guys, I just knew in my heart that these were my people. And so I was like, hey, what is your Myers-Briggs? And he was totally an introvert. His Myers-Briggs was very similar to mine, and so was the other guys. And so it was just like a little bit of God being like, see, I can use anybody. And it doesn't matter how I wired your brain. That doesn't set you up for success. The thing that sets you up for success is whether or not you keep your eyes on me while we're doing it. And that seems so obvious, right? That it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of you, but we let that get to us sometimes. And we all do that. And so to see, I don't catch vision very well. I used to not catch vision very well. I am catching a lot of vision these days, and it's a little overwhelming, but it's so good. But at that point, I have had a hard time catching vision. And so when someone would say to me, man, I really see this happening for such and such, or I can really see this happening on a big scale, I would be like, yeah, because it was like my brain had these limits on it. And so standing in front of people, seeing that they were like me and made a little bit like me, and they were successful in ministry, and they were successful in their lives, and they were walking out the calling that the Lord laid in front of them, even with the way that their brain worked and the way that He created it to work, was very encouraging for me. It was like a tiny piece of thread that I just had to hold on to, and that I started unraveling from there. Like I said, I'm going to go see this Myers-Briggs practitioner, and she's really a life coach, which I'm really excited about. I've never done anything like that. I've done therapy, and I have worked through my past and issues and stuff like that, but I'm not really held up by my past anymore. Mostly it feels like I'm standing at the edge of a cliff of where I am now and who I am now, and then I can see on the other side what the Lord wants for me, and what I am being called to be, and where I'm being called to go. And I don't know how to bridge that gap. And so I would like to learn how to work my personality type in a way that is beneficial for me, that will make me successful in what God wants me to do. I want to learn how I think best and how I work best in multiple situations, so that I can give this, piece of gray matter that God has made inside of me and that He has intricately designed. I want to know how it works. And I think that that's very liberating, and I'm excited about it, because I feel like all of my life has spent wondering why I am the way that I am. And even now at 30, I'm about to be 31 on January 31st. I am still asking some questions about, why do I think this way? Why do I act this way? Why do I talk this way? Why do I react through certain situations? And so learning how I do things best, why I do them, and then where my weaknesses are is liberating for me. And so I'm super excited about it. So that's California trip in a nutshell. I also ate some super delicious sushi, and I created this very unhealthy habit of eating and getting coffee and then doing things, and then eating and getting coffee and then doing things. I had to wean myself off of caffeine when we came back, because I had just created this monster cycle. So I'm so sorry that it took me forever to get a video out, but I promise there will be more coming. And I really appreciate you guys just hanging with me and watching me yap on the interwebs. And right now I'm at a park because it's after church and my husband's going to do something, so the kids are playing at a park. But look, this guy, she's sleepy. She needs a nap. So anyways, I hope that you guys have a good day, and yeah, bye.